Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to EGFH Season 6 for the Overwatch Regional Finals here. Excited to have an amazing day. I am David Hans Chen, joined by Kenny Beaneasy Small. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm not bad, my friend. I'm excited to get some high school Overwatch going between two very competitive teams.
Oh yeah, very competitive indeed. These guys have been kind of going at each other. A little bit of a meme war today in the Overwatch text chat in our Discord. So been excited.
Quality banter.
Yeah, quality banter for sure. Always happy to see. Happy to see the banter going back and forth. They've been talking about their individual ways of warming up. I know that BTHS was like playing a little bit of Borderlands before this. FLHS they were playing some custom game modes here in Overwatch. So excited to see what they have for today. These guys faced each other earlier on in the season and to a really close set, 3-2 in favor of Ludlow.
Yeah, so Fairfield Ludlow being the higher seed in this matchup, they do get the ability to pick the first map, which they have chosen to be Lijiang Tower, and then from here on out, it's going to follow a order of Assault, Escort, Hybrid, and then after that Hybrid, if needed, we will repeat the order from Koth and onward. And the loser gets to pick the map, and the winner gets to pick their sides.
Yeah,
Tower, Brooklyn Tech not going to have the opportunity to choose their map, but I think it's safe to say Lijiang Tower across the board is pretty well liked.
Oh yeah, for sure. Lijiang, pretty solid map. I love kind of this starting point here that we've been going to. I forget the exact name of this map, but this big open area in this big pagoda at the end, and kind of see some interesting strats.
Pagoda, what a word.
Yeah. We get to see some interesting strats. You know, sometimes we see Sim come out on this map. You know, what are you expecting out of these two teams, Kenny?
I mean, the most optimal rollout strategy in a lot of situations, because you can just go straight from the gateway that leads out to point, take that TP up to the window above, and just drop your team onto point. But looking at the composition, only one of these two teams will be whipping out Symmetra, and it looks like it's going to be Brooklyn Tech. Oh
yeah, Brooklyn Tech going to be whipping that out, and it's quite an quick rotation for them, right? And with that alongside this Lucio, I feel like they're definitely going to hit point first. And we'll say this is one of the first times we're actually seeing Echo in EGFH play, so this is always something I am excited to see overall.
Yeah, both teams are going to whip out that Echo. A common pick now, the ability to use that ultimate and just turn into any of your opponent's heroes and then get that incredibly increased ultimate charge generation. It can be used so effectively if it's used on the likes of a tank. Maybe you have two Reinhardts or something. You can use a Brig and get that rally up really fast. And the options are limitless, and Smazerly going to be getting first blood here.
Yeah, getting that first blood is always so important, and you know, especially you saw that with Symmetra and Lucio, they made that rotation so early. They can barely contest on the Ludlow side, so they just have to break through these two walls within this Reinhardt, in this Orisa, and that's definitely a challenge overall.
Yeah, once that Orisa gets set up, especially when you have two shields like they're working with right now, it can be hard to break through, but Schnark finding that opening, taking out Winters, and not having that Discord Orb is going to drop a lot of damage here, but Skip doesn't even need the Discord Orb. 2 eliminations with the Fire Strike going through the window, and that's just going to be a clean fight win here for Brooklyn Tech as the point hits 30%.
Yeah, and Brooklyn Tech doing a fantastic job of holding this siege, knowing that they can just kind of keep healing up with that Baptiste. That his AoE heal on this point, especially when you're controlling it, can be so challenging to break through on top of these two walls, and just a tough siege, honestly. It feels like you're breaking into the castle.
Baptiste has a ton of damage that he can dish out, oftentimes being looked at as the better of options between him and Soldier, but Stivek is actually going to be dropping Hello right there, so creating a nice opening here for the side of Ludlow, but unfortunately Smazerly making a nice play yet again, going to be evening out the odds here. And with ultimates not being used quite yet, they do eventually use 2 with that Junkrat tire and the sim wall being thrown down. Nicely done. Shatter as well, and Brooklyn Tech just flexing right now in Ludlow, hitting that 75% mark.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely a flex indeed. It's just so tough for me to see how this team ends up breaking through this. I love the Junkrat pickup here, knowing that that can help you break through some of these walls. But, you know, if you're on the side of the Ludlow Falcons, how do they adapt to this situation?
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard because you do have that Lucio now, so hopefully you can speed in. But Junkrat's going to rely a lot on finding that pick or breaking the shields quick enough. And when they have that supercharger, it'll make that a lot easier. But the map is being played so well here by Brooklyn that they're just gonna win this fight outright.
Yeah. Fantastic play from them. They've just been holding this from the beginning with that Symmetra Lucio rotation, and Nemraz's getting so many kills at the end.
A 4K there?
Yeah, I'm a big Symmetra main myself, so honestly seeing Symmetra in these games, eats my heart out, man.
Well, I was actually gonna say that'll be the end of Symmetra's, but Nemraz sticking true to it. Nope, never mind. I spoke too soon. Sorry about that one, David.
Yeah, unfortunate, but definitely not for. I believe this is Control Center. Not a great map for Symmetra. Very few rotations that you can do with that teleporter, right? And you want to be able to use that to full effect here. And with these tighter corridors, most of the time you're gonna see this Mei Reaper composition. Reaper can kind of just mow down a whole hallway on his own, and Mei getting those walls. I definitely think that's going to be the bigger differentiator between these two teams.
Yeah, and when you see the Mei, the Reinhardt, and the Reaper working together perfectly, someone gets frozen and dropped within instance. But that Mei wall causing a lot of separation here, going to open up the fight here with Glacier getting the first pick.
Yeah, and FLHS finally getting a team fight that looks like they're going to be able to take the advantage of. Brooklyn Tech now down 2 members. They're just going to back up, retreat to 6, and great exiting pick here from Schnark.
Yeah, very nicely done there. The wall also by Smazerly will help keep the rest of his team alive if not going to be eliminated himself. So nicely done there, but look at that Goldfish dropping Skip and another beautiful wall here, just barely actually missing closing off the exit, and Glacier, Hello actually finds his way out alive.
Yeah, and those walls, like I said, are going to be such a big play on this map, and especially here on this main choke, it looks like the Falcons are happy to take this fight here. Maywall going to come down and separate half the team off, but the late response on Maywall for Ludlowe is going to be pretty rough.
Yeah, that Maywall was so well done there by Smazerly that when Zoom came in, it was a real lackluster one that didn't provide much, but regardless of that, this fight is still going to be trading out 2 kills apiece, but the nano-boosted Reinhardt from Skip is going to seal the deal there for the side of Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah. And it was quite an even trade to start, honestly, but as soon as that nano came out, especially with that Earth Shatter knocking down 2 or 3 members, it was a tough comeback, and now Brooklyn Tech is going to look to play at that exact same wall that Ludlowe did, but even going to try to make this rotation to the right side here.
Ooh, the Graviton Surge will come out. A beat used in response, and Nemraz actually going to be dropping Stavek there. Nemraz picking up 2, and just like that, at the snap of a finger, you have Brooklyn Tech winning a team fight here, and we're only at 25%, so very fast fight.
Yeah, a great use of beat, honestly, in response to the Grav, knowing to adapt to that situation. And one of the big things to note that I said earlier, Mei Reaper, fantastic play in these hallways, able to just kind of mow these players down over and over, and great Fire Strike picking off this Ana to start.
And it looks like Brooklyn Tech just has everything figured out for the side of Ludlowe. Ludlowe tried that same Maywall strategy, except Brooklyn Tech Smazerly was incredibly aware of it and had his own wall prepared to stop their advance. Then you saw the Diva get slept in the falling fight ensued. So very nicely played there by Brooklyn Tech as a May Blizzard gets thrown down.
Yeah, and although not much value getting off this May Blizzard, it does give them some space, but unfortunately, Ludlow's also going to be dropping 3 members in this whole exchange as well. Looks like Brooklyn Tech going to be taking this fight.
And they do hit 70% here as we'll tick over just now, and if we take a look at our ultimate bank right now, we can see Nemraz the only one with an ultimate on Brooklyn Tech, but Winter's going to have one available soon, as we do have a nano-boosted Goldfish coming into the fight here, but Nemraz finding the perfect opportunity to strike a big ultimate coming in, getting a quadruple kill with assists and eliminations for himself, and Brooklyn Tech convincingly may have just won the map.
Honestly, have to give a huge shout out to Winters. As soon as that Reaper ultimate came out of Goldfish with the nano on him, instantly slept. Really great heads up play from him, and now Nemraz maybe looking to get picked, but we are going into overtime here.
Yeah, and overtime's going to be a hard devil to dance with here, as the longer you stay on the point and keep that overtime ticking, the faster it will go down. But Glacier and Zoom are trying their best here to keep the hopes of winning map 1 alive here for Fairfield, but Smazerly and co are just doing it a lot better than them, and that's looking like Map 1 is going to go over to the side of Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah, map 1 in dominating fashion, I would have to say. It felt like Ludlow really only won, you know, the one team fight and kind of held them at the Brooklyn Tech door there on the second control center map. But congratulations, Brooklyn Tech, for taking that map 1.
Yeah, very well deserved there. Even when they did stumble a little bit on what looked like the first part of a control center, they didn't lose a fight once they took control of the point. I think that's a big thing to point out, as we see here. Nemroz gets that big play, but it does not go unassisted as Grev's play of the game. Yeah. But as I was saying, it's big to point out here that once Brooklyn took the point on both rounds, David, they didn't lose it, I believe, for either of them. So once they had control, they were very good at keeping it.
Yeah, for sure. Would have to agree with you there. And for now, we're just going to cut to a quick break just so we can get these teams on map selection, figure out what they're going to be playing next. So don't go anywhere, esports fans. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here with map 2 now. Brooklyn Tech leading now 1-0, and because of the loss, the Fairfield Ludlowe Falcons have decided to choose Temple of Anubis as their map 2.
Yeah, and then a big thing we should also point out is that side selection going over to Brooklyn, they chose offense here, Hans. So with them going with offense, you definitely think that Brooklyn Tech is feeling very confident. They want to set the tempo for the rest of the map.
Oh yeah, for sure. And given that this fact that Brooklyn Tech chose offensive side here, they want to attack first. Oftentimes we see winning team, they prefer to defend first to kind of set up that tempo, make sure to see how long they can kind of hold that opponent. So what do you think about this attacking side pick?
Well, I feel like it's always, how you look at it, glass half full, glass half empty kind of thing. Because if you do go with offense first and you do set the tempo with a fast push, you've pushed through the first point with a fight win, pushed through the second point with a fight win, and you have a 6-minute time bank. Well, that going into when you're the defense going on the offense and you see there's a 6-minute time bank, you are very concerned about having to come back from that. So it can play into their head a bit. I think it's just, depending on what teams are more comfortable with, and maybe Brooklyn's just more comfortable with their offense.
Yeah, and looks like Ludlowe is electing not to play the Echo here compared to last game. Looks like they're just not as comfortable with the Goldfish. Pulling out the Torbjorn is not a pick we get to see too often, but they're just going to be a dive comp here from Brooklyn Tech, going to go right in.
Yeah, and Brooklyn Tech's dive comp gets snuffed out very quickly. You know, to point out that Torbjorn pick, that turret does such a good job at dealing with the Echo. When Echo's in the air, she's so hard to hit with a shot in some situations. But if you don't want to worry about hitting your shot with the McCree or the Ash, just pick Torbjorn and the turret does it for you. And when there's all this chaos happening in the fight, Echo was not able to get to eliminate the turret and ultimately pay the price for it.
Yeah, Smazersley now, though, he is at 65% ult charge, and I definitely going to see EMP as one of the major team fight changers here coming into this next fight. Maybe he even gets at the tail end of this next fight, and just going to continue this dive for Brooklyn Tech.
Yep, and here we go. We have the wall being used, a Diva bomb. Excuse me, no bomb coming out. The Diva mech actually does go down, but Skip getting out that Primal Rage, hopefully going to be creating a little bit of a distraction here. Unfortunately, his distraction was too small to do much else as the rest of his team just falls around him. And this defense that we're seeing come out from Ludlowe is very strong.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I definitely would like to say that from the time that I've seen Ludlowe play, Temple of Anubis is definitely their favorite assault map to play. You know, they've done so many varying comps. They had the Symmetra ping pong comp with Bastion back in the day. They've done a lot of Bastion play on this map, and great pick from Smazersley.
Yeah, that's actually massive right there. Eliminating the Zenyatta gives this EMP even more effect to it. Unfortunately, though, somehow Goldfish playing the hero in this fight, picking up 2 eliminations, one with a melee, and even with such a well-coordinated dive right there, from the looks of it, it fell apart as the fight developed.
Yeah, and like you said, usually picking off that Zen is really important because then you negate the transcendence from that whole somber EMP, right? But incredible play from Ludlowe, like you mentioned, to let them come back from that. And Brooklyn Tech is just going to kind of keep continuing this dive, hopefully to charge up another EMP, I assume. Great hook to catch out Echo.
Oh, yeah, very nicely done. And Brooklyn Tech, they just look like they keep running into a brick wall here. No advancement, no point presence taken at all, not even a tick on the point. And unfortunately, they only have a minute left, Hans, which about 2 fights, I guess, if you can make them quick.
Yeah, 2 fights indeed. Grebka had to, unfortunately, take that slow death to the turret there, which did delay them a little bit. You know, now it is 2 quick fights, but you know, time is definitely running short. They're all still trying to regroup with this Diva, and definitely only really have about maybe even just 1 extended fight left.
Yeah, as they're taking their time to try and find the perfect fight, they're going to have to make sure that they make this one count, and Grebka doing his best to make sure it sticks. Stevek going to get dropped right there. The Orisa will fall, and without the main tank, it's going to be very hard to keep the foundation afloat here with multiple members falling one after another. Skip getting most of the kill credits thanks to that Primal Rage, and finally, at the 11th hour, we see Brooklyn Tech take point A.
Yeah, and without without EMP either, but they did kind of use almost every single other ultimate, means that they really only do have this EMP for the second point for the first fight there. And Nemra swapping off to Ash, not a pick that we get to see too often.
Yeah, and Hans, something to point out is, even though Smazerly, the only one with an EMP for Brooklyn Tech, nobody has an EMP for Ludlowe. The closest ultimate that they're going to have is Stevek's ultimate, which won't be doing much against an EMP. So we'll have to see if Smazerly can find a better EMP than the last one and win the fight here for his team as they get closer and closer to the point.
Yeah, and EMP now coming out. They're going to retreat off to the right side. Not all too many hacked. Zoom going to be the one player not hacked out there, but not many deaths resulting from that EMP.
Yes, Skip ultimately will be finding 1, but you're right, Hans. Not many eliminations going to be found thanks to that EMP. Nemrod does pick up 1 here, but with Stevek and Okiru each getting an elimination of their own, 1 tick will be taken here for Brooklyn, but with having that EMP used, you gotta think they were hoping to take more.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I was a little worried for the Falcons when they decided to kind of all group into that back room behind the point there. They were, 1 or 2 of them definitely fell down being grouped into that room, but they ended up taking that fight very handily. And like you said, 1 point taken away. 2 minutes left on this clock now.
Yeah, as you say that, 1 minute 55 seconds left, and I'm not sure if my eyes deceive me, but it looks like they may have gotten a little bit past that first tick, so the tie is off the table now, which means that no matter what, we will be having a winner on the other side of this map if they do not finish this out. So we'll have to see if Brooklyn Tech can get to that fabled third tick, as we see a Gravitic Flux being used. Nemraz and Grebka each picking up eliminations of their own, and this may be the straw that broke the camel's back here for Ludlow, as they are not finding any eliminations of their own.
Oh, yeah, and big boy Bobby coming out, gonna start mowing down some of these Ludlow players, and you know that auto-firing Bob can always be such a big threat, and now Blizzard coming out means that Ludlow Falcons are gonna give themselves a lot of space. They may be able to come back from this a little bit.
Yeah, but Nemraz took that space right back with a beautiful dynamite, and then picks up 2 more eliminations until he's met in the face with a goldfish punch. And while the spawns are going to be in favor of the defense, they cannot get back in time, and that's going to be Temple of Anubis finished out here for the offense of Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah, 56 seconds left on the clock, just under a minute, so you know, if Ludlow happens to finish it a little faster, they do get 4 more seconds on that clock, but wow, what a close game, honestly, and I definitely want to see the main difference for me is going to be that .1 hold, right? You know, it seemed that Ludlow was able to hold that .1 for so long.
And, you know, it also makes me wonder if what we're going to see different from these teams. You know, that Torbjorn is something you can justify on defense, not as likely on offense, so maybe we'll see the Echo coming out here for Ludlow, or we might be seeing the Torbjorn come out from the side of Brooklyn to make up for that lost hero pick. And as we do see the initial selections coming out here, there will be no Torbjorn and I think no Echo either, Hans.
Yeah, and that's quite surprising. Nemrod is going to continue picking up this Ashe. Definitely love to see kind of that flex play. Bob did a fantastic job on that last point, and it's just such a big threatening ult. And with that dynamite, sometimes letting your opponents on fire, it's just so much damage over time if you can hit, you know, 3 or 4 members of your opponent team.
Yeah, and to add to that, not even damage over time, the amount of ultimate charge that you generate from a chunky dynamite is massive. If you hit a 3 or 4 man dynamite, I'm willing to bet you can get 30 to 40% of your ultimate out of that by the end of it. So we'll have to see if Nemraz can make it as effective as we've talked it up to be on this defense with a more standard looking composition here from Ludlow if the Diva swapped out for that Reinhardt. But, you know, everyone has their favorites. Snark may just be liking Diva a little more in this situation.
Oh, yeah, and oh, Nemraz is going to go for a little bit of an interesting flank play here up in that top ledge. Great dynamite on 5 members of the team. Fantastic work. He's going to get so much ult charge off of that, like you mentioned.
Yep. And there we go. That was 20% ultimate charge right there off that one dynamite, going up from 30 to 50%. That is massive gain. And look at that. Dynamite's already back up. Just misses out on landing that one, but a beautiful wall and suck going to come in here from Brooklyn Tech as a very nice push started here by Ludlow. Unfortunately, though, with Nemraz and Skip having this crossfire come out, it's going to be very hard for the offense to sustain a push. But ultimates invested here will be traded out. Coalescence for Bob.
Yeah, and it looks like Ludlow Falcons going to start winning this fight a little bit. Bob is going to put a little bit more pressure on him, but they're just going to use this Reinhardt wall to his advantage and let that Bob time out. But they do have better spawns. There are only a few Brooklyn Tech members left here, and they're going to just try to push their way in right now.
Yeah, it's Brooklyn Tech trying to play delay while Ludlow is trying to play catch-up here. The Gravitic Flux trying to stall it a little bit longer, but Goldfish does not get caught by it. Going to be taking down Grebka, and even with Stivek getting frozen, Ludlow is looking very promising right now. Even with Smashley clearing the point, it's only for a moment with that ultimate. It looks like Ludlow is going to be taking point A and setting their sights on point B here of Anubis.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, heads up play, fantastic play from Nemraz getting that Bob. I loved the angle that he was playing at. I've never even thought about playing from that angle before, so kudos to him. And now, gonna go onto this point 2, and like I mentioned earlier, they have 5 minutes. Ludlow Falcons were able to clear point 1 so much quicker here.
Yeah, that's a lot of time in the bank right there. And now, with that 5-minute time bank, it's going to depend a lot on how this first fight goes. There's 4 ultimates available here for Ludlow. All they need to do is make sure that they use them effectively, and they can win this fight incredibly quickly. There's only one ultimate, make that 2 as Grip can get his for the side of Brooklyn Tech, and neither of those are that game-changing depending on the situation.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Temple of Anubis is definitely one of those maps. To me, it's very snowball heavy, right? Once you gain that map 1, you can kind of just instantly snowball that to the map 2, but it looks like Ludlow's just going to take it slow, wait for Hello's window to time out there, just so they're not as pressured on that right side of the point. And now they're going to charge in with all of their abilities.
Yeah, Ludlow going to move forward with that Diva Bomb, holding the front for them. A Shadow going to come down, but with Bob, a Coalescence, and the Frozen Gun coming in here, it's going to be 3 eliminations for the defense, make that 4. And even with Snark picking up 1 there, it is going to ultimately go in the favor of Brooklyn Tech. So even with Brooklyn Tech having both their Orisa supercharger and their Baptiste wall window, getting baited out at the start of that fight, they were able to extend it long enough and get themselves the fight win overall and delay this poor Diva from her untimely demise.
That was such a long delay. I'm surprised that Schnark didn't even just try to like walk back towards his teammates to even try to contest the regroup. But now this is gonna just be a long spawn. Diva finally gonna be able to come out. Glacier gonna be the helpful Lucio trading out his Diva, and we're gonna go to another fight here.
Hans, I want to point out that one fight we saw has taken 2 minutes of total time between getting to the next fight now, as we are getting closer and closer to only 3 minutes left. So Brooklyn Tech has done a nice job at delaying these fights and extending the time that they have on the point to as much as they possibly can. But I want to point out that Ludlow has done a very good job at being calculated and methodical, so this could be exactly what they wanted, as the Blizzard will be thrown down, Transcendence used to counter it, and then Smadgerly coming out with a Blizzard of his own to pick apart the remaining members of this offense. Ludlow will be sent packing here as another defensive fight win comes out from Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah, it looks like Brooklyn Tech, they definitely reacted really, really well to their opponent's Blizzard there, and placing their Blizzard very well, knowing that Ludlow was just going to charge in, definitely won that team fight in my eyes. And now, it's a pretty even ultimate charge between these two teams, and Schnark again going to get picked off really, really late on that Diva. Just a whole minute stalled off from the side of Brooklyn Tech. They're controlling this point B so well.
You're right. This is the power of assault maps, and unfortunately, the distaste for it comes from these kind of situations where you're so dependent on having your team stay alive and wipe the defense on the second point that it's very hard to win this fight convincingly. You need your team, as I said, not only to stay alive, but you need to eliminate the other opponent. You can't be taking these life-for-life trades, because then it just wins out for the defense here. And as I say that, we do see trades coming out here, but once again, the defense is winning these trades, Hans, and I'm afraid it looks like it's going to end up the same way unless Ludlow pulls out a miracle play in this fight.
Yeah, honestly, a great flank from from Diva. Schnark there, using his bomb kind of behind the enemy lines. They just weren't expecting him there, but they're able to clean up this fight from Brooklyn Tech. They were only able to get 1 or 2 kills on the side of the Ludlow Falcons, and now Brooklyn Tech really showing their strength here. Strength in numbers, strength and power, and it's so hard for them to come back in this situation for Ludlow.
And Hans, you made the point. 5 minutes was a massive time bank that Ludlow had to work with. And in those 5 minutes, we've seen, what, 3, 4 fights happen, maybe? And now, here, with less time available than Brooklyn Tech has secured, Ludlow is going for their Hail Mary play very shortly.
Yeah, and, with 1 minute left, earlier, you can take 2 quick fights, but making this transition to this backside of the point, it's going to take them a majority of that minute, and now they're going to have to only take 1 fight. This is the last potential fight for the Ludlow Falcons. They have to make everything count here.
Exactly. They have to make this count. They need to get all 3 ticks on this last fight. That means a clean fight, a clean wipe, and dominance. Anything less will not get the job done, as Goldfish will be picking up 1 elimination. The Shatter is going to get blocked by a nicely timed Maywall from Smadgerly before he meets his untimely demise. And with the fight being left at a 65 in favor of the offense, this is the opportunity for them to strike. Make that a 6v4 now, as they do have the point present. They do have the Blizzard in play. And Hans, this looks like Ludlow might be finding their fight victory. If only they could survive this Blizzard from Smadgerly.
Yeah, the Smadgerly flank Blizzard came out really, really well, and Smadgerly is also going to be able to delay so much time on the clock. Now Brooklyn Tech is going to be able to kind of make their plays again. Bob coming out as well, not going to be able to get knocked down to an unfavorable line of sight. So it's going to be able to get a lot of shots, especially on Goldfish there. It's not looking too great for the Ludlowe Falcons.
Yeah, they do get one tick there, but unfortunately they're going to have to just try and make these stall heroes work. And with all 3 members falling here, the beat doesn't even get finished out. Brooklyn Tech survives the 5-minute second point defense and gets themselves a map 2 victory.
Yeah, congratulations to Brooklyn Tech. You know, we initially saw that 5-minute timer, like you said, and we thought that they were just going to have such a good time with just, you know, being able to use that time advantage to themselves, but we're not able to capitalize that. Took some really slow fights, especially that 2-minute long fight that you mentioned, Kenny. That's just really tough for them to deal with.
Yeah, it's so demoralizing because you go into that fight, you have 4 ultimates, speaking for Ludlowe, you have 4 ultimates, you have the momentum, you just took that fight on point A and took it very convincingly, and now you go to point, not only on point B do you have your ultimate, you bait out your opponent's ultimates, and still with all that in your favor, you can't finish off the fight. That's hard to come back from, and we'll have to see if Ludlow is able to bounce back in map number 3, as this escort is going to be very big for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and like you said, they're going to go into map selection here for map number 3, so don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back shortly. ladies and gentlemen. We are hopping right back in here. Map 3. Looks like the Fairfield Ludlowe Falcons have elected to pick Junkertown. They're a pretty big fan of these kind of open areas. that snipers are allowed to be picked and used, but I'm surprised they haven't picked a sniper of their own. We've seen Nemroz pick up a lot of Ash, but not much else from the rest of the crew here.
Yeah, and if there's ever going to be a map to choose a sniper on, it's First Point Junkertown. I mean, we've seen so many double sniper compositions come out on this First Point. It's just so wide open. Snipers can have a field day with all the cross angles and cross sights. And look at that, Nemroz pulling out the Ash, and then Zoom pulling out the Hanzo. And on top of that, we have Goldfish with the Bastion, so a little bit of the Protect the President composition here.
Oh yeah, for sure. A bit of the Protect the President composition, but this is a very stereotypical composition for the Ludlowe Falcons on offense, in my opinion. We've often see that pirate ship most of the time for them, and this is one of the compositions that got them to first place last season. So, gonna continue that streak. Look to pull out this Bastion, and Bastion can pump out so much damage.
Yeah, he really can. The issue, I guess, with this composition is getting Bastion on the payload, which doesn't look like it'll be too hard, and keeping him on the payload. But Goldfish just foregoing that entirely, keeping himself right next to the payload and just playing Protect that body, as he is going to hold left click into some shields, maybe hit a Echo here and there, but just some trading for the time being. Yeah,
and Echo is going to be one of those annoying heroes to deal with in this situation because of the fact that they're just able to fly around. Unless you can get that pick off quite easily, Hanzo is going to be half the one to deal with that. And they're finally able to pick Smazerly out of the air, but they trade instantly for Goldfish there. Bastion now finally down.
Yeah, that's going to be a fight win in the favor of our defense here as Brooklyn Tech takes control of the point as it reaches that second gate, or second bridge, I guess you could say. And now with defense holding strong here, it's going to be up to this offense from Ludlowe to come out with a new strategy. And unfortunately, they're not going to be Ludlowe. Brooklyn Tech as... Oh no, I'm sorry, I got the team confused. We got the Dynamite coming in here on a nice pull, not going to connect with anyone as she misses the shot. With the accretion following up afterwards, it's really just trading cooldowns and trying to get those ultimates up.
Yeah, and a great adaptation from the Falcons, like you mentioned, swapping over to the Echo, but a fantastic ult from Skip, slamming down almost the entirety of the Ludlowe Falcons team, and they're gonna do them a kind favor and touch those spawn doors.
Yeah, touching the spawn doors is really just adding a little salt to the wound there. Brooklyn Tech winning that fight off the back of a beautiful Gravitic Flux. And now with Glacier, the only one that an ultimate, Sivek will also have that supercharger. So if you think about it, both those ultimates hand in hand, Hans, you have Goldfish on the Widow and Zoom on the Hanzo as Goldfish picks off Nemroz. That's a lot of damage being added onto these snipers, but they're not even going to need that boost as they just find the picks one after another.
Yeah, and both supports going down mean that they're able to make that pick happen. Oh my god, fantastic snipe from Goldfish. Exit pick as well means that they're most likely going to take this next fight at the gates here leading into point 2.
Yeah, very nice quick skill coming in from Goldfish, and as we reach the end of this first point, it's going to be the last stand here for the defense, with Ludlowe holding strong here off the back of those 2 damage boosting ultimates they're using. Goldfish connecting with a nice headshot on Grebka, but will get traded out there. Nemroz and Smazley trying to do what DPS do best and dish out tons of damage, and they are going to be doing that plus more as this defense holds strong at the end of first point with only a minute left on the clock.
Yeah, and it feels like every time Nemroz throws out that bob, it's almost immediately a team fight win. They just, it turns the game to like a 7v6, and Goldfish going to try to look for more of those hook shots into the air, but nothing yet so far.
And that Bob can really be such a hit or miss ultimate if you don't use it correctly, but so far we have seen Nemroz using that ultimate incredibly effectively with not only the timing of using it, but really where he's placing it, as the Gravitic Flux comes down here from the side of Snark, picking off one with Smazerly and Nemroz, each picking off a number 2 as they find their kills there, but Zoom actually picking off another 2 there with the Dragon Strikes, just concentrating back and forth between these 2 teams. But we must remember that the offense does still have that spawn advantage here.
Yeah, and great flank Dragon, like you mentioned there, from Zoom. And Goldfish now swapping over to this McCree. Didn't feel as confident on that sniper duels, that just because he lost that last one versus Nemroz. And now they're going to take potentially a last fight here for Ludlowe.
Yeah, Ludlowe going to have to win this fight out here if they want to keep their Junkertown hopes alive. but with the kills just being traded back and forth, it's really anybody's game here with Lucio getting up close and personal on that McCree. Goldfish going to take out one until he is eliminated there by Winters, with Zoom also finding elimination, but Winters really just having a field day right now. Lucio fragging out everybody. Make that 3 eliminations here for Winters. A 4th is found as well, and Brooklyn Tech off the back of their DPS Lucio hold out strong on first point Junkertown.
Yeah, always happy to see a Lucio perform very, very well. And
that was a 4K.
That was 4K, not something you see typically often for the side of the supports. You know, sometimes you see it on a Moira, sometimes you see it on a Zen, but on a Lucio, not too often unless he gets the boops. And now it's just so tough for the Falcons to respond here, right? They have to basically hold all of point 1, can't even let them come near point 2.
And this is what you were talking about during Temple of Anubis. Now that the far better position team of Brooklyn Tech had that defensive role first, they were able to set the tempo with where the cart would get to, and because they took that risk and they stopped the cart on the first point, they have all the momentum riding with them, and they're going to be going into this single point push really with a lot of confidence.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now we're going to see the sniper v sniper wars here on both sides, and that's something I'm always excited to see here on point 1 Junkertown. Like you mentioned, Nemrov's actually swapping to the Genji.
Ooh. And yeah, when you have these known win conditions, unfortunately, Caster Curse, but
yeah,
one of the big things about playing for only one single point is that you can afford to go heroes that you might not normally go. You know, a common composition which we don't have the chance to see is going to be Sombra Genji, so that may come out at some point if they get desperate, but for the time being, Winters keeping up that fragger roll, getting an elimination there on the Glacier, and we might just see Winters just get elimination after elimination here, because I think he picked up the previous 4 and then the first one of this round.
Oh yeah, he's definitely happy to see that. The confidence is definitely there, and unfortunately not too many picks here on the side of the snipers for Ludlow Falcons. Means Brooklyn was basically able to roll onto this point very quickly, almost for free, and it seems like they only have, like so few meters left. There's only 1 cart of distance. They have to start fighting on the Ludlow side.
Yeah, they didn't even get a chance to fight. Ludlow giving up Junkertown here. The Brooklyn Tech making it a 3-0 map score here. And as you were saying, yeah, Ludlow they were way too passive there. They just kept giving up parts of the point until they thought they could recontest, but their Orisa gets dropped, their Sigma can't get there, and when your tanks aren't able to contest the point, it's really not going to be going well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree with you there, and we get to see that amazing play from Skip with the Gravitic Flux there. Congratulations, Brooklyn Tech. They're now going into match point for them.
Yeah, Brooklyn Tech going in the match point here as they're looking for the clean sweep. Now, this is a 1st to 4. Doesn't matter too much at the current moment, but if we do see a reverse sweep, then that will be coming into play, depending on if ties ever happen and whatnot. And with this next map being a hybrid, that is a possibility in our future, but we'll have to first see what map we'll even be playing.
Yeah, and just like you said, we're going to go back again to map selection, so don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on the tried, the true, the tested. Kings Row is the map 4 pick for the Ludlowe Falcons, and what a map, man. It's always great to see all the fun things that come out of this map.
Yeah, I mean, Kings Row is one of those maps synonymous with Overwatch. I think everybody, no, I'm not going to say everybody, but a very large majority of people love playing on Kings Row, and it's such a fun map to get to watch as well.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, with this Echo pick as well, I'm kind of excited to see how, what dynamics she adds to this play. Goldfish gonna look to get some opening picks here on that Widowmaker, it looks like.
Yeah, and you know, I'm curious to see if we're gonna have Smazerly playing this Echo like you would a Pharah, because Pharah is a pick that we have seen on Kings Row in the past. It's been used for the sake of not only having a high skybox on the map, but you have the tower in the middle as cover, and Echo can utilize the same exact benefits that Pharah can. So really, I'm curious to see if Smazerly chooses to play around this hotel area or chooses more to take an aggressive approach around the statue.
Yeah, Ludlowe Falcons decided to take a little bit of a safer route, go out the bottom exit, knowing that they can play around their shield tanks, their diva here, and Nemraz's going to continue to play his Ashe. It's just been such a threat this entire day so far.
Yeah, and Ashe, as we talked about, is such a not only damage threat, but ultimate charge threat. And when you have that bob up and you're using it as well as Nemraz has, it's just even more deadly to be dealing with you, as a nice halt and dynamite combo comes in to find a little damage on Goldfish, blow some cooldowns, and keep them safe from Doomfist's burst potential, if only for another moment, as they make their way through this hotel trying to flip the point on Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah, and forcing them to play kind of that opposite side and making that fast rotation. Grebka gets knocked down, Skip almost getting knocked down as well, Immortality Field making a great save happen, but Nemraz and Smazerly going to be able to find even more picks of their own, and it looks like this point is going to go to the side of Brooklyn Tech a little bit.
Yeah, once that Shatter came in, that sealed the deal. Very nicely done there by Skip, securing that Shatter and ultimate team fight win for Brooklyn Tech. And one of the big things to point out there is both teams did lose a support, but the support that they lost was only their flex support. So and pointing at the Brooklyn Tech side is they have an incredible amount of healing. Both those heroes in their own right could be a primary support. So having Baptiste and Ana supplies a ton of healing for your team just by giving up a little bit more of that damage potential. But, you know, you still get that with the window.
Yeah, and you get that utility as well through the Baptiste. You know, that Immortality Field being able to save Skip. Skip able to get a huge one team fight ultimate, and now, what a transition, what a play from Smazerly.
My gosh, Smazerly transitioned to Reinhardt, dropped behind them, charged out one member of Ludlowe, and then turned and used the Shatter with a 180 flick. That was so beautiful, so well done, and just showcasing the power that Echo has.
Yeah, that's technically an average of one Shatter per team fight for the side of Brooklyn Tech. You know, that's that's a crazy number to think about. And now, you know, they're just going to continue the assault on the side. Great window here to kind of make this play happen, but Gray Maywall in response is slow, kind of back off again, wait for this window to time out for Hello, and continue making that fight happen.
And yeah, look at Ludlow's ultimates here. Goldfish does have his Meteor Strike, so we'll have to see if that's actually going to be useful or is just using a get out of jail free card. Smazerly, though, going to be dropping Glacier, so that's one already eliminated here for the offense. Make that two eliminated here. And with the Meteor Strike coming down, not going to find any kill with that directly, but a nice follow-up elimination there on the Hello. And when this fight started off so poorly for the offense, Ludlow manages to turn it on its head and secure what looks like a fight win here and keep them moving on Kings Row.
Yeah, I gotta give props to Zoom. His Blizzard paid off dividends there. You know, I said before that Nemraz with his Bob, every time he used it, it seemed like he won the team fight, but that's the first time they've not been able to pull an advantage out of it, and they're able to take point one here on Kings Row.
And now, as they gather up here at the archway of Kings Row, a very common meeting place for two teams, it's going to be very big for the defense to make this fight a decisive one. Because if they stagger out at this point, Brooklyn Tech, then they're just going to give up the entirety of this second point. And now with Ludlowe pushing through this street space, trying to just cause an error to come out from the side of Brooklyn Tech. It's actually Brooklyn Tech that finds the opening with both of their tanks picking up eliminations here. Actually the only ones to find any eliminations, and Skip and Grebka securing that fight there for the defense.
Yeah, and another very scene that we're used to, staggering out Schnark here for that longer team fight reset. And a great play from them. They used windows so effectively. Their tanks played really, really well. And not too much more else to say, right? Brooklyn Tech just kind of playing a very tried and true composition for them.
Exactly. Brooklyn Tech really just seems to be comfortable on certain picks, and regardless of the map they're going on, they're going to be whipping it out. Point in case Nemraz on that Ashe has shown time and time again to make big plays with it and keep their ultimate consistently up and available, as Bob dancing on the point right now and just playing a little bit of keep away.
Yeah, and getting these picks onto D.Va over and over has just removed her from this fight so often. But Ludlow's going to start rolling in here with almost all of their ultimates. You know, Schnark at 80%, Stevek at 80% as well, and Blizzard kind of peeking over the horizon. They're going to make a long rotation here into alleyway and try to make a flank play happen, but great beat and great pick onto Hello.
Ooh, two shatters used right there, only one used there as it's blocked, but Stevek doesn't even get a chance to use his. The entire fight going one-sided in the favor of Brooklyn Tech, and just like that, the defense wins the fight, holds strong yet again, and this archway is proving to be very difficult for Ludlow to break.
Yeah, and you know, I initially thought that with the pick onto Hello early on, you know, you're losing one of those healers, but like you mentioned before, both of these healers on their own right can just be a main healer by themselves, and Winter is able to keep the rest of his team up for so long. We may be looking at one of the last few fights here on this point.
As the D.Va Bomb is thrown in the air, a three-piece comes out of that. 3 members falling from that D.Va Bomb, and with Goldfish and Stevek following it up, it's just icing on the cake here for Ludlow as they find the opening that they needed, and Grebka looks like he's going to be switching off, or at least I hope so.
Yeah, and wow, what a play here on the side of Schnark. You know, a lot of the times we saw him getting picked off, you know, him getting staggered, but he has more than made up for it with that D.Va Bomb. 16 seconds left on the clock, trying to get this lash push in, but these last few inches of point 2 can always be really tough for the attacking team to push through.
Yeah, as they are going to have their final fight if they do not push through this point here. Goldfish making sure that his team can get to the third part of King's Row, taking out Smazerly. That's one part of the dynamic DPS duo that is no longer going to be pumping damage into them, but with Nemraz finding that elimination onto Okiru, it's going to be very hard to keep yourself sustained now. Without that Ana, Glacier being the only source of healing here is not going to be enough. Brooklyn Tech able to sustain themselves and keep the point from, or keep second point from being captured, as BTS do hold strong on defense.
And right for the end of point 2, just before that time was going to get extended for the Ludlow Falcons there, Brooklyn Tech showing some fantastic play. They did a really good job on the side of Ludlow Falcons to deal with Smazerly, knowing that he was almost always going to transform into that Reinhardt, almost always going to charge in there, but they just played that super well.
Yeah, they did. It was very nicely done, and even with Grebka accidentally using his ultimate there, he did get back in time, and it didn't end up being too important for them. And honestly, I think we need to point out the big part of that fight win, as you know, I briefly mentioned it, and so did you, that Nemraz and Smazerly really find so many eliminations at very clutch times, and that really seems to be the big difference maker in a lot of these fights that go in the way of Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah, for sure. And just overall, I'm curious to see what the opponent they're gonna just do on the side of the Ludlow Falcons to deal with this. It looks like Hello gonna swap off of Baptiste and go into Brig, which is always kind of like one of those heroes that you just want to go in on, right? Press that W key, go in with your tanks, and make sure your Inspire is going to be healing those dive tanks. And
yep,
looks like a dive comp coming out for the side of Brooklyn Tech.
And yeah, Brooklyn Tech, as you said, looking at an interesting dive composition that Brig is going to have to really just be playing, I guess, protect the Ana by the looks of it. And Yeah, Brig is very useful with Echo being around because Brig is just such an easy way to keep Echo alive, you know. She doesn't have the... You don't want to be using a Mercy all the time, per se, because Mercy just doesn't always work. And with Brig, you just chuck an armor pack up to the Echo, and Echo gets out easy peasy. And you can keep your supports alive, which, you know, keeping that Ana alive will be crucial, as Ludlowe now running headfirst into the offense, trying to keep that defense holding strong, and with Stivek getting dropped very low, he will meet his maker and get eliminated there. And with the dominoes following one after another, it's going to be a very quick fight win here for Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah, like you said, those dominoes, you know, just snowballing on this first point. Offense definitely has that advantage in terms of their spawns, and you know, both sides now have pretty even ultimate charges, even though it was a fight win for the side of Brooklyn Tech. Definitely would like to point out that, like, you know, Ludlowe, if they just have a little bit more target focus here, I definitely think they should be able to win some of these fights.
Well, they're definitely going to be needing that soon, because we are getting closer and closer to that final marking of the series. If we see Brooklyn Tech make their way to that end of second point marking, that's going to be the end of the series here, ladies and gentlemen. And Stivek getting dropped early will not be helping Ludlow's case, with Nemraz and Smazderly following one after another. It feels like Brooklyn Tech has this in the bag. Their confidence is off the charts. Their ultimate economy is through the roof, and they are just waiting for this point to meet the end of it.
Yeah, and it looks like Brooklyn Tech going to be the first school to dethrone the Fairfield Ludlowe Falcons. Like you mentioned, Kenny, there is just only one fight left on the board for the side of Brooklyn Tech. If they win this, this is going to be them taking finals here for the East region. And a great EMP means that Grebka is able to get off that three-piece bomb.
And that's gonna be all she wrote. The fat lady sings. You can put a silencer on it, my friends, because we are done with after that beautiful Diva Bomb by Grebka, picking up 3 for Brooklyn Tech, and that will be the end of this series, and that will be Brooklyn Tech securing the Overwatch Regional Finals for EGFH Season 6.
Yeah, congratulations to them. Dominating fashion, you know, we saw that earlier in the season. We assumed that this match would be a little closer, right? This was a 3-2 match, but overall, you know, great play from the side of Brooklyn Tech. It looks like their scrims, their time in practice has paid dividends for them, so congratulations to them. And honestly, this is their first season, so coming in, swinging so strong, being such a dominating team, right? It's very great for them.
Yeah, GG's to both teams. You know, even though Ludlowe did get swept, it was a hard road to get here, a hard road to make it to the finals. So no matter what, they deserve credit where credit is due. And even though they go down 4-0, there's still going to be a chance for them in nationals at some point. So don't have to hang your heads down for too long. And in the meantime, Brooklyn Tech going to have an opportunity to really bask in the glory of beating out Ludlowe and overcoming that piano on their back from earlier in the season.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like you said, these teams are most likely going to try to duke it out in that nationals bracket that will be coming up in these upcoming weeks. June 12th to 14th, that weekend's quite an exciting weekend for us here at EGFH. But for now, my name has been David Hans Chen. You can find me on all socials at Hans, and my co-caster here, Kenny, take it away.
Yep, I've been Kenny Beanie Small, all my socials at BeanieZNT, and make sure you guys hit this channel with a follow. Stay up to date with all the high school action, because as David said, once that national bracket starts coming in, the action will heat up even more. So don't go anywhere, because EGF in the future will be bringing you some high intensity action.
All right, catch you guys later. We will see you, I believe, soon for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so can't wait for that. That should be coming up in these upcoming days. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Bye.